It is time for the Battle of the Titans. Our two most popular lines, or maybe what was our two most popular lines before we started getting all sophisticated with our Mezcos, Mayfexes, Mythic Legions. Today, we are talking Marvel Legends versus McFarlane's DC Multiverse. So we're going to talk about mainly the past year, but kind of the figures in general. So stay tuned and let's talk about it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Strong Collectors Podcast. I'm your host Dakota, here with my co-host Jordan. And like I said, today we're going to be discussing kind of the differences, maybe the similarities between DC Multiverse from Todd McFarlane and Hasbro's Marvel Legends. Now, I would say that our main bread and butter that we collect is Marvel Legends. We've taken a little bit of a step back from DC Multiverse recently, but last year you were really excited about that, so I think this is kind of fitting that we're kind of taking a look at last year for both Legends and McFarlane, because I was pretty excited for Marvel Legends last year too. So we'll kind of look at the overall differences, maybe some of the similarities, but let us. I think I know where most of our commenters are going to be leaning towards, but this is also just going to be kind of some fun information of how many Batmans were made last year, because that's one of the number one questions everybody asks with McFarlane.
Right.
But I guess I'll hit you with some of those facts because
Okay.
I tried to look them up. So, lay off if I'm not 100% correct, maybe a few figures here, a few figures there. Be nice. But we'll start with Marvel Legends first. So according to my calculations, in 2023, there was 183 Marvel Legends made. So that's including 2-packs and also, sidebar, I don't know if y'all can hear the construction work going on in the background. Behind this lovely digital background is a garage door, and outside that garage door, Savannah's working on our bus. Longtime listeners, you know that I'm moving into a bus. My wife's working on that while I'm talking about toys. What a life I'm living.
As all things should, perfectly balanced, as Thanos would say.
Exactly. So back to Marvel Legends. In 2023, they had 183 Legends made, which I was including a 5-pack counts as 5 figures.
Right.
So that's just in total, including Pulse exclusives, Target exclusives, all that across the board, 183. McFarlane, on the other hand, similar. He had 175 figures released, and that includes his San Diego Comic-Con exclusives and things like that. He had a lot more exclusives, where Marvel Legends didn't have nearly. I don't think they really had. They had the SDCC. They didn't even have an SDCC. They had the PulseCon exclusive, right?
Right.
Or was there? Or was Deadpool the Comic-Con? I don't know. Either way.
That was the SDCC one.
He might have been, but he was easy to get, so he's not really that exclusive.
Right.
But McFarlane's, it was if you wanted that Superman or Batman, it was really only there. So anyway, a lot of people will, like we said, how many Batmans were made. So we'll hit you with that one first. There was 49 Batmans. So you can do the percentage on that. Out of 175 figures, 49 of them were Batman, and 18 of them were Superman. So pretty significant chunk there.
49 Batmans?
Yeah, so that's going to include, it maybe isn't Bruce Wayne Batman,
right,
but it's I counted, I think, maybe I counted Batwing, I can't remember.
I mean,
which that one, but if it's Two-Face dressed as Batman, if it's Jokerized Batman, if it's, multiverse sold Batman, it counts as Batman. And then Superman, similar. If it was a future Superman, that Batman Beyond 2-pack with Batman and Superman, those count as Batman and Superman. And then for Marvel Legends, there wasn't really a lot of, Spider-Man had the most, and he was 18. So same amount of Spider-Man as Superman made last year. And again, that's counting your Ben Reilly Spider-Man. I don't think I counted Chasm, though, because that's kind of not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I did count Miles Morales as a Spider-Man. So kind of your general, we're getting the same figures over and over. I think McFarlane takes the win on that one with 49 Batmen.
Yeah, that's That's really something. I guess what's kind of striking me, even as you're saying the numbers, like, that is a lot of figures.
Yeah,
Like, I think,
really
at least
is.
for me, I don't think of them, like, I guess as they're coming out in waves, it's like a batch
Mm-hmm.
of 6 to 10 or whatever. But I guess that makes sense. But thinking about almost 200 figures, that's a lot.
That is. Let's do the
Like,
math on that real quick. So, how many did I say that Marvel Legends did? Marvel Legends did
183?
183. So, not all of these were standard figures, but we'll just kind of, for the sake of making it easy for me to do math, 183 times $25 per figure. If you would have been a completist, and some of these were deluxes and all that, would have cost you $4,500 just in
At
Marvel
least.
Legends. Yeah, probably more because like the Detroit Steel was more. The 5 packs I don't think break out to be 25 each. It's a little bit more. So
Yeah.
twice a year. Let's
Wow.
see. As far as vehicles go, I think all I could find for Marvel Legends was the Sky Cycle. I don't think there was any other vehicle type things. I didn't count like gliders. I guess maybe you could count the glider from the Green Goblin, but does that technically count as this year? No, that was last year, I think. Anyway, I didn't count that. Sky
Right.
Cycle was the
I
only
wouldn't.
one.
I wouldn't have counted it either.
McFarlane did 7 vehicles, so that's kind of impressive. He had like the different Batmobiles. Yeah, I counted the Seahorse as a vehicle. Didn't think that deserved to be a character. Maybe Aquaman's Seahorse has a name, but sorry to disrespect the Seahorse. And I think the last notable fact was how many brand new characters did each company bring to the table. McFarlane, I counted about 34 new ones. Again, it's kind of hard with some of those Batman and Supermans where it's like, okay, we've never had Two-Face. I guess we've had the movie version, but like Two-Face dressed as Batman, technically that's not Batman, but I didn't count that as a new character. But then like I would also count like Batwing as a new character because it's not
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne Batman. It was different enough, so kind of had to be a little whatever. 34 new ones for McFarlane, and then for Marvel Legends, they had 57 brand new characters. And similar with them, it was a little bit easier for them because, like, I mean, we've had Ben Reilly, so I didn't count that, like, retro carded Ben Reilly as a new one, but I counted Chasm as a new one, even though it's Ben Reilly, but it's a different character.
Okay.
Same with Drax, kind of like when you were saying first time in the line on our Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I counted him here because he is a new character.
And Destroyer first time.
I didn't count Destroyer, though. So
I'll maintain that, but I'll give it to you.
But yeah, so that's kind of all of my 2023
Okay.
facts for you. So I guess I don't know if you can make any sort of judgments off of that. Who did a better job last year? I personally am going to say Marvel Legends did, just because they had more new characters and not 49 of the same character.
Right.
But I am a little disappointed we couldn't get to 50 because I think I'd just like a nice round number, Todd.
Round it out. Yeah, that's pretty impressive for that number. I mean, I know we always make the joke of, I hope we're going to get another Batman. That's pretty wild to get basically 50 versions of Batman. I mean, you could essentially, that's like one Batman a week, basically. You have like an advent calendar of Batmans. Or not an advent, like a year-long calendar.
Right.
Get your Batman out. I guess he did have like the Batman 6-pack. So, I mean, that right off takes out boom. And then he was going, we had some of the movie waves and stuff, which makes sense. But it's a lot of Batman.
It really is.
Definitely a lot. Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think last year, what got me excited were mainly, was last year when Mr. Freeze came out?
Yeah.
That one that I liked?
Mm-hmm.
That one was cool. I guess, wasn't it?
That might have been last year.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Because I got him, and then I liked that Riddler, and then the Action Comics Superman. So there were some that were kind of like those specialty ones that I thought were cool. I wasn't into all of them, but definitely in like the first part of the year. And then he got me with the, we had the leak of the Batman 6-pack, which once it came to be, I was not as big of a fan as I had thought I would be. But I thought the Batmobile was cool. The 89 Batmobile is a nice touch. I was very excited to get that. And I felt a little tricked by that whole Flash Batmobile bamboozling, but
But luckily
we'll
you
deal
missed
with
out
it.
on that one, right?
Well, I know I did miss out on it, so that worked out. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think some of that was cool. I think usually for me it is. I would agree with Legends overall
Mm-hmm.
doing better. I mean, they had that Earth's Mightiest wave, which was just super cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think the one thing that I could say for like, if your argument is McFarlane is better, then I would think the argument would come in that you would have to look at new sculpts because
mm-hmm,
with all of those Spider-Mans, you're probably using at most 3 sculpts.
mm-hmm.
And then those are also going to be used on other characters too, where McFarlane, he's been reusing like the Booster Gold or the Blue Beetle buck kind
Mm-hmm.
of regularly. And like you can see shared parts with like Batman's and Superman's, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
he does do a lot more unique sculpting in his figures, I
Yeah.
think. So
Right.
I could see the argument there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think overall, I mean, when it comes to that newer sculpting or even like the details on like the figure itself, I think
Mm-hmm.
Legends you get a lot of, like you said, Spider-Man's. It's just the base body basically painted different ways. Um, I think there are some instances. I know we've always talked about the perfect fusion of
Mm-hmm.
some McFarlane sculpting and Legends posability.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's I don't know, man, because I think that's always the thing with the McFarlanes is like the limitation of how you pose them or what you can do with them because they look cool usually as they're standing there, and once you get them, usually it's like 1 or 2 poses. But I
Mm-hmm.
do see why that appeals to people, just because I think that can make them easier display pieces. Like you maybe don't need to put in as much uh, to kind of like get them into those different poses and stuff. And it is cool the level of sculpting. I think
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand the technology on those ball joint arms and ankles though.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of been getting away with that with the wrists at least, but it almost,
Yeah.
I don't know if it looks worse, but I don't know that it looks much better because it's kind of like a half ball joint. It's like a hinging ball
Mm-hmm.
joint. I don't know. It's weird. So I agree.
Yeah. I feel like
And
I've been
it
noticing
really
his
is.
diapers more too.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest downside to those figures is it is it looks okay, like it saves the sculpt a little bit, but when you compare that saved sculpt that McFarlane gives you with the diaper to Marvel Legends that doesn't have the diaper, I really don't think it doesn't hurt Marvel Legends that they don't have that, where it's just hard plastic and you can actually pose their legs because like even
Mm-hmm.
looking at your display behind you, like
Right.
your monsters and stuff like that's probably a little bit more McFarlane-ish, but like
Mm-hmm.
you don't need your mummy being like Spider-Man crouched posed.
Right.
But if McFarlane were to do Spider-Man, you'd never get him in that kind of pose, which maybe it works out well that like I can't think of that many DC characters like Spider-Man where it's like, okay, I got my Superman, he's going to be flying. Batman,
Mm-hmm.
he's nimble, but he's usually like, I'd picture him like standing there throwing a boomerang or a batarang type of
Right.
thing. So maybe it works out better that McFarlane has the DC license and not the Marvel license.
Yeah, you just kind of put them in those, you know, Alex Ross style. They're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
standing there looking cool,
Right.
which I get.
And yeah, it does work.
There's a few characters for me that works for, but yeah, I do think I would agree. Marvel kind of lends itself more to those aerodynamic, wild characters
Mm-hmm.
doing those poses.
Kind of a sidebar, but sticking with the topic of Hasbro and McFarlane, did you see that they're, at least on Hasbro's site, that the page punchers that McFarlane did are all sold out?
No, I did
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, he has the G.I. Joe and the Transformers. At least on Hasbro's site, they're sold out. So I was kind of surprised by that. But I mean, I'm not surprised that, like, I guess those are pretty popular. Like, I figured G.I. Joe folks would like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how that would go over with Marvel. Because I think with, like, because these lines are so kind of like opposing, like, nobody's
Mm-hmm.
really arguing, like, McFarlane versus Transformers. So, like, that combination, it works. But
Mm-hmm.
if you did some page punchers with, like, Spider-Man, even though as I say that, I could totally see you buying that just for displaying wise.
Maybe.
But yeah, we've talked about
Still
him
want
doing.
McFarlane to get a crack at a Spider-Man. I want that someday.
I was gonna say we've talked about all the characters we think would be cool for McFarlane doing, and I think there are definitely some that he could knock out of the park, and there's some that I think he would just drag through the mud. So that's really the way people feel about McFarlane. It's either you love it or you hate it. Let us know what you thought. Was there enough Batmans made last year, or should he have done more? Because I know there are actually some people that want more Batmans. Like, they love having like just a full shelf of Batman. And if you love that, then this is the line for you. If you want to see some of those figures that we were talking about, what characters Todd would be good at making into his McFarlane Marvelverse, you can check that out over here. Make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe. And until next time, stay strong.